Well, hello everybody and welcome to Portsmouth This Week. I'm Bob Poniatowski, substitute, and it has fallen to me to do features on the schools here in Portsmouth, and we've been through the role and we have one to go, and she's here today. She is the principal of the Melville Elementary School. She's Liz Viveiros. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your mini tour of the building last week. Liz, tell us a bit about your background and what brought you to Portsmouth.
Absolutely. So I attended Rhode Island College, where I received a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education with a concentration in special education. I, soon after student teaching, was employed by the Bristol-Warren Regional School District as a special educator. I was working at Hugh Cole School in Warren, and I spent 2 years there working with 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students in an intensive special education program. We worked towards mainstreaming them into the classrooms with their typical peers. That program moved over to Gutierrez School in Bristol, and I spent 4 years there and continued with the same population, and then headed back over to Hugh Cole School and taught as a resource teacher there for 2 years. And I collaborated with regular education teachers at that time and worked with the students that had some special needs within the classroom, ensuring that their needs were being met. After that point, I became a 2nd grade teacher, and I taught 2nd grade for 5 years. And during that time, I explored a lot of different leadership teacher roles and realized that I wanted to pursue a master's degree in educational leadership. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do my principal internship under my principal at the time, Charles Mello, there at Hugh Cole School, and completed my coursework in June of 2012. And applied for the position at Melville School, and I was blessed to have the opportunity to work here.
Sounds like you paid your dues.
I did.
And we're glad you're aboard with all of that background. I was curious about the mission of the Melville School. All the schools in town have sort of a mission statement, and
Me too.
what is yours?
Yes, so we focus in on not only the academic piece of the students, but also making sure to ensure that we are focusing on the whole child. So we want to bring all of those components in, the emotional, the social well-being of the child as well. And I think that that's the heart of almost all of our mission statements, is we're providing a rigorous academic education, but we're also developing the whole child.
Yes, and I'm struck by the safe environment, nurturing environment, and those things that are so important. When I visited your school, of course, all the doors were locked.
They were.
So I couldn't get in, and I don't blame you for that. But I happened to go in with the little preschoolers, and there was singing at the door. I haven't been sung at the door in a long time. Yeah. And the school looked very inviting and visually attractive and so forth. And the staff that I met were very, very civil
and that was my school librarian singing at the door, just so that you know. It was.
So
she's
you have
just
to be multi-talented, huh?
She's amazing, and she's always reaching out to the students in so many different ways. But yeah, Mrs. Donahue is something.
That's a nice yes. touch. That's a real nice touch. Let's talk about the curriculum.
Sure.
Obviously, even those of us who were in elementary school many years ago, and remember reading, writing, arithmetic, there are so many enrichment and other aspects of the curriculum now. I guess, talk to us a bit about the curriculum as you know it.
Certainly. So we have embraced the Common Core state standards at Melville and in Portsmouth. And that has really, it's been a push to ensuring that all students are receiving a rigorous education and that they're focusing in on specific core topics. As a military-based community, we had discussed this when we spoke. It's so important for us to not only ensure that the students that we are sending from Portsmouth to other states, other countries, are have those foundational skills in every grade level, but that we're also receiving students with the same level of skills. So we've made it our mission to ensure that students are ready. They're college and career ready, and it starts in elementary school.
So much, I'm just amazed at how so many things start in elementary school.
They really do.
I don't think I had a class in botany or zoology or physics until much later in my career. And now I see it's scattered all over your curriculum.
All over the place. We're ensuring that the students are really being exposed to everything and focusing in on bringing in the sciences and incorporating it into our reading, into our writing, having students read nonfiction literature along with fiction, and their writing as early as kindergarten. I know that Lisa Little brought an example of kindergarten writing when she met with you. I actually have a third grade example to share with you, but I will tell you the children are they are completely immersed in all of the educational pieces. So the reading, the writing, the mathematics. We brought in typing.
Yes, keyboarding, you
Yes.
mentioned that. And how much of computer instruction do they get? Basic keyboarding and sort of...
So we actually start in the kindergarten level, and our kindergartners receive a computer class once per week, and that's really exposing them to the keyboard
Yes.
and to the mouse. Now, we have students who are digital natives now. They're coming to us knowing how to scroll through an iPad, understanding how to manipulate cell phones, understanding, if anything, I think the keyboard is a little bit more of a foreign concept to them when they start at the elementary school. So it's really explaining to them all of the pieces, having them be able to log onto a computer, get onto specific websites, being able to understand what's safe and what's not safe.
Does your staff have trouble keeping up with them?
So I think all of us can learn from children these days when it comes to technology. But as a whole, we're all always trying to understand just a little bit more. And the push for technology, it's really to just ensure that students are ready. So when we're looking at keyboarding, as I had mentioned, it's the Park assessment requires my third grade students to have typewritten responses to the problems. So it's how do we get them to that point? So in third grade, so it starts in K, there are technology classes embedded into all of the grades, but then in third grade we start 6-week typing sessions with the students.
Third grade.
4 days a week.
What impresses me as a former secondary school, the subjects were always sort of segmented. Ring the bell, you got math. Ring it again, you got English. Ring the bell, you got something else.
Yeah.
But in the elementary school, what I like is the way that they're all sort of tied together and interrelated.
And integrated.
And every teacher, I remember this years ago, elementary teacher is a reading teacher.
Right.
And so if you're in the math class or the biology class, you're attentive to reading skills,
Right.
word attack skills, and so forth. And what do they do, for example, in science? That kind of concerns me. For like in physics, I notice there's a unit on power and motion. I mean, is that fighting?
So it's really just understanding the basics of it. We have, right now, we receive some KITES kits. We receive some science kits through the Educational Collaborative. And in those kits, there are hands-on activities and projects. We also use a program called Science Fusion, which is the basis of a lot of our science curriculum, and it incorporates all of the national standards in science, and it really is targeted to not only understanding vocabulary, but really hands-on activities, being able to create scenarios of force in motion, being able to understand life cycle. Coming up in first grade, we are actually going to be hatching little chicks and ducklings. And the children actually see the complete life cycle of that, up to the point where they go and they visit a farm and they leave the ducks there. So it's just really, it's exciting. It's exciting to see that piece of it.
It strikes me, and I remember when I studied and thought about these things, that it's not only content that you're interested in, but it's sort of developing some mindsets.
Absolutely.
So when they're doing computers, they may not know how to program or anything, but that they're being trained to think about how this tool works to gather information. And likewise with science, it's not they'll remember the formula for force or the E equals I over whatever it is, I've forgotten it myself, but that they will remember that science, to adopt a scientific mindset, is to discover through
and understand the steps it takes to get to that point. I
really admire that. The other thing that's a sort of a favorite thing of mine is the writing. I'm just impressed with how much writing is emphasized. One of your bulletins said encourage them to write at home. Encourage them to keep a diary or a logbook, or and then the writing. There's a story. Writing a story. I didn't know exactly what it meant. For believing, was it something like that? A story to transmit, I guess, a moral or some kind of thing. And then there's the other story, which is persuasion.
Persuasion.
And I love
opinion writing, persuasion.
I love the Oreo. Why didn't you tell me about this before I try to teach college freshmen?
And understanding all of the pieces that go into it, making sure that you've got that lead, and then having the details right in the middle of the piece and wrapping it up. So when you look at an Oreo, that's what you see. So you're starting it and you're ending it, and everything in the middle is, a lot of the time, it's all of that detail, that emphasis.
That's so encouraging that they're getting that in your school.
They are.
So when they get to later on, they're going to understand the Oreo, the opinion derives out of examples and reasons and so forth. Terrific. I want you to talk briefly. You have a lot to be proud of over there, and I can just tell from your demeanor today and last week how excited you are about the things that you do. You're a Feinstein Leadership School?
We are a Feinstein Leadership School. We focus on good deeds, and we've built a community within Melville that has clear expectations, being ready to learn, being safe, being responsible, and being respectful. And we work off of those values, and we really try to encourage our students on a daily basis to just remember those core concepts so that it takes them through not only their academic career, but life.
The students that's reinforced regularly?
Very
and the
reinforced.
Staff obviously would have to ingest that
Posted
to be part
throughout
of the staff.
The expectations are not only posted throughout the building, but we're also recognizing students on a weekly basis, on a daily basis.
I saw that on some of your
We
things.
do. We actually have, I have
Show
a
us.
few things to show you. So in our school, our whale is our mascot, Squirt the Whale. So students receive what we call a whale done slip. A whale done.
Oh, that's a terrible
And if
pun.
you see here, it says, I was caught being respectful, responsible, safe, ready to learn, and the student's name. And they actually cut this in half. A piece of it goes to the parent so that they know the child was acknowledged. And then the other piece goes into a collection bucket that we have in our front office. So on a weekly basis, I'm able to pull names from every grade level, and I actually end our Fridays with a song, and it's usually a request by a student or two or groups of girls. They love to give me song requests, but I play a song and then we go into honoring the students. So we honor them through their Whale Done slip. They end up with a principal's award, and we also actually have this token system. Again, it's just a way of acknowledging the children.
I'm with you.
The children have these chains on their backpacks, and they earn tokens. So the principal's award token will be the child that I select from the Whale Done bucket. And we also acknowledge students in PE. We acknowledge them in library, music, and in art. And you had mentioned to me when we met our shoe tying bulletin board.
I toe tying bulletin board.
So
I love that.
It is, and it's a big deal. Learning how to tie your shoes at the elementary level is a really big deal. And the children deserve to be acknowledged for it, so they also earn their token for tying their shoes as well. So, and they earned their tokens for reading. Our march into
that's
reading.
Reward and reinforcement, and you see programs on TV and articles in the paper that we need to do that more.
Yeah.
Not only in elementary school, but through life.
Through life.
Reward and reinforce
And
so forth.
acknowledgement.
Yeah,
Acknowledgement
yeah,
for a job
yeah.
well done.
And in addition to the Feinstein thing, I know that I saw your dance routine. I know that you're very, very.
I wouldn't say
Aren't
good.
you embarrassed?
No.
I was going to say maybe I'll ask Liz to give us the website
Right.
so the whole community can watch a bunch of you doing the funky chicken dance.
Let me tell you a little bit about that.
Please do.
So we had March in the state of Rhode Island is the month of reading, and we kicked off the entire month with a school gathering, and we actually really got the students excited and promoted reading by giving them a challenge to read 1,000 hours. And will I tell you that I had a school filled with readers. I had parents making comments that they've never had their children want to read so much. And the reward at the end was to have me dance for them, which you would think wouldn't be that big of a deal, but I will tell you, we had so many students focused in reading, and they read well over the 1,000 hours. And we really, throughout the month, it was the piece of bringing the community together as well. So we had a spirit week. One of the things that we do for our spirit week is that we acknowledge our Melville spirit and the students. And I brought a t-shirt for you, Bob. This is from my Melville parent-teacher group. Yes. So students in the school, we have different ones, but this is one of our Melville school t-shirts.
And
so that was one of our days. It is, right? One of our days was to show Melville School spirit, and in the center of the entire month was reading. So at the community gathering, this is for you, Bob.
Thank you.
So at the community gathering, we started by presenting all of our monthly and weekly rewards, principals awards, and it ended with me doing a dance. And students would say to me throughout the month, they thought I was going to do a gymnastics routine. Not sure why, but they did. One thought that I had some sort of professional dancing experience, which I absolutely do not, as you can see by the video. But so they had decided they wanted me to dance to the Happy Song by Pharrell, and that was the song I danced to. So I started the dance.
I looked at it, and it was you know, I'm sorry that when I was in elementary school, nuns didn't dance. And so my education's been
So my
stunted.
teachers, though, they all came up and they danced with me. So they helped me through it. They helped me through it. I couldn't do that by myself. So it was a little flash mob.
That was easier, though, than jumping out of a helicopter.
Absolutely, and that was the challenge, the summer challenge for the entire state of Rhode Island. My first summer, so after my first year, Commissioner Gist had given us a challenge that depending on how many books we read as a school community, someone would be jumping out of a plane with her. So that was interesting. We did read a lot, but We've got a small school, so
well,
we didn't meet the...
I think the reading thing is just so important, and with the invasion of computer literacy and TV and tweets and all that stuff, you know, the old written word is still where it's at. The other thing I know that you're very proud of, Mrs. Storm, is it, did a project where she raised some $11,000
My
for the
physical education teacher,
talk
Mrs.
about that
Storm,
briefly.
she raised over $11,000 for the American Heart Association through a Jump Rope for Heart program. And this is something, yes, this is something that she has been dedicated to, and she's amazing. The children were amazing. And again, it was a community. It was a community builder, and they came together and they jumped their little hearts.
I was curious reading through some of your documents that are all on the web, by the way, folks at home. Go to the website and you'll see the curriculum, and this is the April events calendar, dental screening, Arts for Life, step dancing workshop, jam puppet show, Too Much Glue.
Yeah.
You have to tell me what that is, or I'll go away incomplete.
So next week, we're acknowledging Arts for Life, and in the past we would only spend a day on our Arts for Life, and we decided this year that we would have a week-long dedication to Arts for Life. So each of the days we have specific performances. We have Irish step dancing coming to us. Kaleidoscope Theater will be performing Goldilocks, the Toe Jam Puppet Band, and they will be doing some country western dancing for us. And then the author of Too Much Glue. And it's a story about a child who gets into some situations with glue. So students will be able to, so students will be.
It's like that super glue, you put it and it sticks on
and
you.
glue is everywhere, isn't it? Now, interestingly enough, in elementary school, glue isn't as powerful as it was in the past, because you had the Elmer's glue, and now we're into glue sticks. It's a little less messy, but it's an excellent story. And the students will be exposed to that author, and it's just another piece of showing students all of the things that they have access to.
And boy, a lot of things they do access to. I saw something called a weekly update, and it had parent signature at the top. I've read this, and it's sort of what's going on that week. So is this something that goes home to them?
Right, so that's actually from one of my specific classrooms. So I had forwarded you my weekly updates. So I send a weekly update to my staff and to my colleagues. And from those updates, I also attach my teachers' weekly updates. So that was just an example of one of the updates from the classrooms. But parent communication is key.
Yeah, and that brings me to my next topic, which I found fascinating, which was one of your goals or your desired outcomes for this year is tweeting.
Tweeting, yes.
And I never would guess to hear a principal say that they're into tweets. But explain to us why you're putting a focus on this.
I will. So this summer I went to a conference, and I always think that when you leave a conference, take something away that you're going to be able to implement. And the message was telling your school story, being able to brand your school, and how can you do that? And there's so many different modes of communication out there. You want to reach as many parents, as many stakeholders, as many Portsmouth residents as possible. And Twitter is a way of doing it. Currently, we have 168 followers. So at the click of a button, I am able to share things that are happening within my classrooms. And throughout the day, I have some parents that only follow our Twitter feed. So they know when their phone vibrates or it dings, whatever access they have to it, they are able to see what's happening in Melville right there and then. So it's a way of communicating, connecting with parents. It's all about getting your message and your story
not
out.
Without trying to embarrass you, but I asked you in your office,
Yeah.
do people read the tweets? And you said yes.
Absolutely, and I actually have a perfect example for you today. So we was it yesterday or Wednesday, I tweeted one of my kindergarten classrooms, and they were doing a science experiment, really hands-on, and took a photo, tweeted it, and the Commissioner of Education actually responded to that tweet and retweeted it onto her web. So would she have been able to see that activity happening right there and then? That's how many people that you reach. You reach other educators.
It is what it is, you know. Years ago you sent out warning slips and notices and paper, and now it's there. We're running down on time, and I know you have some demonstrations there of kids writing, and I'm so happy you're back to phonics.
We are focusing. We have a program called Foundations, and it really does focus on those phonetic pieces in sight words.
Show us what you have here.
Certainly. So this is an example of a third grade research report, a nonfiction research report, and it was created by a group of students. And throughout this process, they researched cheetahs, and they were able to use all different types of resources. They used the web, they used books, and they put together a table
like my
of
master's thesis.
A table of contents. We've got
visuals.
Some visuals. They typed this entire 20-page report as a group. So it's just an example of what our students, the life cycle of the cheetah, it's just an example of what our students are doing on a daily basis. They're researching, they're exploring, they're working collaboratively with their partners.
So much of that was done later on in education.
It was.
I remember spending elementary school so much on like basics and skill development and things like penmanship and stuff like that. But this view is it's
pretty incredible.
It's where it's at, you know. I think
really wraps it up. This is what they're producing.
I was going to say, if you drop out of elementary school in the fourth grade, you're ready for life.
You're ready for life.
You can write, you can read, you can research, you can do science. That's terrific. What is this thing here?
This is just also another.
Oh, just another one.
Another example.
Okay. Well, we're kind of winding down, and I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to touch on anything that we didn't cover. I thought we did okay, but
I do think that we reviewed everything. I do know that there's a little something different from Melville than the other elementary school, is that we do house our preschools there.
Yes.
So I had mentioned to you that we have an integrated preschool program, and it's really.
What does that mean?
So what it means is that we have students who have some needs, some developmental needs, along with the integration part is that we have what we call community partners in with them, and we try to keep it at a 51% community partners, 49% ratio, so that students are working with their typical peers and are communicating. We will be having some registrations for those programs, so I look forward to seeing
Well, I
parents.
think we've covered it all, Liz. I thank you very much for coming on the program, and your ebullience and bubbleness is infectious, and I'm sure that the people at Melville School are very happy to have you, and we are too. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you very much.
Until next time, I'm Bob Poniatowski, and we'll see you next time on Portsmouth This Week.